So where I started, let's talk about high school. I had two girlfriends in high school. My high school wasn't actually like a sob story. I'm not gonna come at you with like I was like getting picked on all the time. I actually wasn't. I was like almost popular, I would say, in high school. But I was kind of like nerdy as well. I was very good at video games and I played a lot of video games. But I went to like an intellectual sort of school, so people everyone valued even being good at video games or games in general. Like chess was kind of valued in there. We actually didn't have any sports teams at my school either, which was interesting. So it was like an intellectual kind of nerd school, I would say. But I wasn't like getting picked on or I wasn't it wasn't like a terrible story. I was nothing bad happened in high school basically. I would say probably the worst thing about my high school was the fact that I had so many surgeries. I have these like bone tumors that I actually had to get surgeries on multiple times a year, usually like three or four surgeries a year. And oftentimes the big ones would leave me in like a wheelchair for like months. I would be like sitting in a wheelchair. I would have like a cast on for like a super long time. And it was just a little bit awkward. Sometimes I would be like in a wheelchair randomly in high school. But it is what it is. And that sort of led to me playing a lot of video games, which I actually enjoy. I do enjoy video games and I got very good at the video games, but I kind of regret, putting so much time into them. I wish I would have maybe like done more of socializing or just enjoying like my teenage years a little bit more. But the surgeries kind of led to that just because I was like, I can't really do anything. I can't even move that much. So I'm just gonna like play League of Legends. And that's kind of what I did. Um, Anyway, here are my relationships. This was my first girlfriend ever, actually. This is me with the glasses on right here when I was 15, I believe. I look like I'm 8 there, but I'm actually 15. And this is my girlfriend at the time. Um, this is we met through like my family. My family kind of like set us up with her family, and we actually both ended up playing League, so it like worked out perfectly. This is my second girlfriend after I broke up with her. I think I was like 16 or 17 here, maybe a year or two later. And this was my like last girlfriend actually. Yeah, last girlfriend. Like I didn't have a girlfriend up until maybe like a year ago when I actually started learning social skills, confidence, all that stuff. Um, yeah, so this is my last girlfriend up until a year ago, which was about 8 years or so. Um, and yeah, I did a lot of partying in high school. Actually, like I said, I wasn't like a nerd. I was kind of like a nerd, but I wasn't like the nerd that got picked on. Basically, we were all nerds at the school. So, so essentially, we had parties together, and it was kind of fun. But I did a lot of drinking. I did a lot of like not really understanding dating, typical high school stuff. It is what it is. I wasn't like a James Bond or anything in high school. That's for sure. I was just trying to like figure it out. I was doing a lot of drinking and sort of stumbling through and not really getting any results with women, to be honest. After my second girlfriend, it was kind of just downhill from there. Yeah, that's about it. I discovered RSD my senior year, so that's like a big pickup company. Because I was just trying to like meet girls. I was like, how do I probably typed in Google one time like, how do you talk to girls? And then I'm sure RSD came up then. So I discovered them in the senior year of high school when I was about 18. This was about 2017. I got really into the whole like dating and self-development thing. I was like, oh, okay, you can actually like you can put in work and you can get better with women and get better in life. It's like that's definitely interesting. Tell me more about that. I was interested. I wasn't doing anything um about it, but I was definitely starting to get interested in this stuff in senior year of high school. Okay, so I go off to college. I watched a lot of the pickup stuff, the dating, confidence, social skills. I started getting really into that stuff. I met someone else who also was into it. And he became like sort of a mentor of mine, but I never really got into cold approach with him or dating or anything. He's more like a business or like a sales mentor, I would say. But he gave me like a hard drive of like all of this like dating, confidence, social skills, pickup stuff. And I was like, oh my God. And I just watched that for like 2 years. But yeah, I basically just loved learning about it. And I essentially did nothing. So like I would sit there and watch videos and be super interested. And then I would do nothing with the information. Oh, so yeah, the only time that I would actually try to implement that information I was learning was when I was like blacked out drunk. Then I'd be like, "Hey, you're cute? Like, what's your name?" To a random girl at a party. So obviously, I never got any results with women in college. I except one. I did stumble into one like situation ship somehow just because like she was in the friend group and I was able to like just spend a lot of time with her. Um, but this was not through any means of my own, to be honest. Just kind of stumbled into this, luckily. Um, Again, not James Bond, not really doing any crazy work in high school. My dating life is still not great. Um, yeah, and then after college, I left after 2 years because I was actually studying like business, and I was like, after 2 years, I was like, why don't I just go start a business? And I was like, sales is kind of similar to that, so I'll just go do sales. But really what it was is like I wanted to meet women. I wanted to meet women. I wanted to get into a relationship. I wanted to get over that fear of approaching women. So I was like, sales is similar to that. Why don't I go do sales? Because that's like the next thing I can do. Like without talking to women, I can go and do sales. Like I'm too scared to talk to women. So what's the next best thing I can do? I can go try to do sales and like eventually work my way up to talking to women. So I wrote here like in parentheses, circumvent, like try to avoid talking to women at all costs. I know I need to do it, but let me just not do it and try to like sneakily go do sales, basically, was like my idea because I wasn't really attacking the problem directly. Was, looking back in hindsight, that is what I should have just attacked the problem, and then I might not have even gotten into sales. I might have done something I actually wanted to do more. Okay, cool. So how did my sales go? I'm pretty competitive, so I ended up being good at sales, but I had a very slow start. Like almost everything I do, I have a very slow start usually. I'm never out of the gates hot. I'm never number one right out of the gates. I'm never like a prodigy. I'm always usually like kind of behind in whatever I start, whether that's like pickup, dating, school, sales, whatever it was. I'm always just like last, but I'm so determined sometimes. I'm just like I need to beat everyone and I'm so motivated and competitive. But I had a very slow start in like my sales career. I went 3 months, no sales, commission only. So I made no money, but I was out there every day. So needless to say, it was like a tough few months. Um, I made some money, and then afterwards, I messed up and I spent all my money again trying to get women. But in reality, what I was doing was like circumventing it. I was like, let me get a little apartment, let me get like a car, let me let me do all these things, and get some nice clothes. Let me look cool first, and then I'll figure out the women. Obviously, I never figured out the women. I just wasted a bunch of money at the end of the day. Um, yeah, and I wrote here, never met any woman at all, and then repeat the cycle for 3 years. So 3 years of this wasting money and not approaching women. So again, this is attacking the problem indirectly. I'm trying to circumvent the problem. But what I really need to do is just talk to a woman, just talk to a girl, and then I'll be like, oh, I don't actually need all this like clothes. I don't need this car. I don't need this fancy apartment. I just need to talk to girls, and maybe I would have like not wasted those 3 years of making those mistakes. I tried to start my own sales company at this point. It actually failed. I wasted a bunch of money again, got very depressed, went to live with my aunt in LA. I was actually just working at an online casino overnight because I liked it because I could play video games and I could make money at the same time. So I was literally like doing nothing with my life essentially here, just wasting so much time. And obviously, I had no girls in my life at all. I started talking to a girl, a long distance relationship. Of course, I got very attached because she's the only girl in my life and the only girl that I've talked to for the past like 4 or 5 years. So I got super attached. I was like calling her every day. I was like being so needy and desperate and literally like crying on the phone. It makes me sick to think about it, but that's actually what I was doing. Um, Anyway, she's like, I can't take this anymore. Like, obviously, she should have said that because I'm being an idiot and I'm being needy and crazy long distance. So she goes, I can't do this anymore. And I basically spiral into like the worst depression of my life for months. Like, I don't know, maybe 6 months. I'm just like apathetic. I don't care about anything. I just like play video games. This is real. Like, this is the first time ever like saying this, but this is really what happened. Um, I'm just lonely. I'm frustrated. I'm depressed, confused. I'm just numbing the pain of that with video game addiction. So I was playing, like I just so many any chance I had to play video games, I was just immediately playing video games at the PC cafes that they have in LA. I would go to those and just numb the pain. Numb the pain of no ambition, nothing going on with my life. No, the work is not really going anywhere. I have no women, and I'm just like lost. And I wasted all my money on trying to get women, basically like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like It's crazy when you can just go and talk to a girl. You don't have to do all this stuff. But that's what I did. That's a true story. So I needed a way out, of course. Like, that's 4 or 5 years of literally meeting zero girls, new girls at least, and just yeah, it was looking pretty hopeless. There's me around that time, looking a little bit pudgy, not that good, and the hair's not too great, is what it is. Couldn't find any answers. All of my friends had no answers. This is my lowest point, and I really had no friends at this point, by the way, to be honest. Cool. Turning point. So November 2023. After years of indirectly trying and failing with women, I decided it was time to go more directly at it. So I hired a coach, and he helped me do my first cold approach ever. Now this basically like flipped a switch in my brain, and I just completely, I was like all the weight just came off my shoulders. I was like, oh my God, like I'm free. I just did what I was like running from for 8 years. Like I feel absolutely free. I feel euphoric. I can do anything. I still remember to this day that first approach that I did. It was in the Fountain Blue in on Miami Beach. This girl is like in an orange dress across the room, and he's like, "Go talk to her." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Hey, you're cute." Boom, weight's gone. 8 years of weight's gone off my shoulders. I'm free. I'm like, wow, I can do it. I can do it. I can just meet girls now. So yeah, I never forgot that moment. After the coaching, I was hooked. I was like, I need to move to Miami, and I need to do this. And I basically devoted, every moment of my life since that point to dating, cold approach, social skills, confidence. And yeah, that was basically the turning point. That's what got me into all this. Miami. So I practiced in Miami for 6 months. I lived there for 6 months. I got a really nice deal, a lucky deal on a furnished apartment. But yeah, I would record and I would break down all my interactions. I would make some videos. I started growing my channels around this point, my TikTok channels. But I was basically just living like the dream, to be honest. I was like, I wasn't having a lot of success with women at this point, but I was so happy. I was like, I'm free. I'm doing something I love. It is a little bit challenging right now, but I'm passionate about it. I love it. I'm recording it. I'm getting better. And I wasn't getting that many results, but I felt good about my life, and I was finally like moving somewhere. So here's my channel growth around that time. So I moved to New York City. I started getting consistent, but I never really could get to that ideal dating life level. So while I was there, I actually met two legends in New York City, some of the best guys that I've ever met. And they're not famous. No one knows about them, but they're some of the best guys that I've ever seen, with cold approach, confidence, social skills, dating, some of the best I've ever seen do it. And I've seen a lot of guys do it. I've seen professionals do it. But these guys were doing things that I had never seen in books or videos, and they were getting better results than anyone that I had seen before. Like I said, so I studied with them. I was like, I need to figure out what's going on here. So I hung out with them. I was like, you guys need. I just followed them around basically for months. I watched and I learned, and I did my own thing with them, and they taught me a little bit, but they're like solitary creatures. They're like, they're cold approach guys. So I was just basically watching, learning, trying to pick up my own things of ideas of what they were doing. I was talking to them. I was taking their ideas and just fitting them into my own sort of models that I was developing on cold approach and dating. So essentially I lived in New York City for a few months, and after that I retired essentially from dating for a month or two to create this new framework, combining what I saw with these two guys with my own sort of models and understandings of game. And I ended up working on it for a couple months, and I finished it. I called it a frame-based approach. Needless to say, I wanted to see if it would actually work. So I wrote out the whole structure, the scripts, everything, why, the psychology of it all. And in the following months, I ended up using it to create my dream dating life. And from that, I landed my dream relationship. So Punch, I was telling you about, this is her name, by the way, Punch, in the first slides. So I landed my dream relationship. Since then, I've taught that exact framework to 116 plus men and helped them do the same. So today, my goal is to help more guys live the life that they truly want to live, to truly feel confident, happy, and free, and not be in scarcity, frustrated, be lonely or suppressed like I was in for the first, 24 years of my life. And the good news is it's actually easy to get there. There's only a few small tweaks that you need to get there. So I want to ask you a question. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be frustrated, lonely, sad Peter at his aunt's house playing video games, suppressed and scared? Or do you want to be free Peter in his dream relationship with his dream girl, feeling free, feeling abundant, feeling confident in life and in himself and moving in the right direction? Who do you want to be? I suggest free Peter.